Well, good afternoon, YouTube. This is Chuck, and it's Sunday, June 9th. It's about 2024, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and as you can tell, I'm coming to you from the van. It's a little toasty in here, so I opened it up to get some air moving through. But, boy, do I have an update for you today. This is going to be a Bigfoot video, and I've got an update with both my friend from Utah and something from Alabama Al that I think you'll find intriguing. So, first of all, let's start with my friend from Utah. Now, I've been in contact with him pretty regular over the last week or so, and he's had some pretty interesting stuff happen. Their little spot that they've been going to, he says, about a 15-minute drive from his house. And let's bring you the highlights. Number one is I've been contacted by 3 different people that live up in that same general area. And after talking to all 3 of them, and getting their permission, I shared their names and phone numbers with each other, and they've all gotten together, and they've all been talking to each other. Well, 2 of them, my friend from Utah, and you might wonder why I call him that. He's not quite ready to release his name, and if you knew what he did for a living, you'd understand why. So for the time being, the decision's up to him, but for the time being, I'm just going to keep referring to him as my friend from Utah. But then there's another lady that, and we got them all in touch with each other, and I guess I'll call her neighbor lady. I don't know whether she wants her name used or not, but I'm not going to do it right now until she comes out and tells me. But anyway, they all 3 have been in touch with each other, and so my friend from Utah and neighbor lady, they actually been going out a couple of nights, and neighbor lady she hasn't really had any experiences. She's been very interested in subject matter for a long time. So she's still waiting her first aha moment. But anyway, my friend from Utah, the place where he's going is actually a pretty heavily used recreation area, and there's a lot of other people around. And he thought maybe that was one of the reasons why he wasn't getting quite the level of activity that he would like to get. And so I told him, I said, well, ask him if there's a better place. And the other thing there is that his wife is 1/4 Native American. And she seems to have the gift of communication with him, the gift of mind speak. And at first she was kind of surprised about it, but now she takes it very matter of fact. It's kind of just the way it is. And so she's been getting quite a bit of, he's been asking the questions and she gets the answers kind of thing, kind of like Kevin and I do. So anyway, so we asked him, he says, is there a better place? And they actually directed them to a little place not too far away, easy walking distance, that got them away from the crowds. And they also told them that they didn't need their chairs up there because there were plenty of places to sit. Well, they went up there and looked, and sure enough, there are plenty of rocks and logs and this kind of stuff. There are plenty of places to sit. There was also the 2 trees that were broken off in kind of an unusual fashion. And so my friend's wife asked, if that meant anything. And she was told that it meant clean water. Well, they get to looking around, and sure enough, there was a little stream there, crystal clear, clean water, right nearby. So all that stuff is cool enough. The other thing that kind of happened is when they were walking in there the other night, 2 of them, both my friend from Utah and neighbor lady, saw a flash of white, something white. Well, his wife went looking for it, and she said that when she finally saw it, she said it was a house cat. And she had a very unusual coloration. It had a white head and a white tail, but its body was jet black. And that's just unusual enough that you're going to remember if you saw something like that. Well, a little bit later on in the evening, she thought to ask him, was that one of you? And they came back and told her it was. So now they didn't clarify whether they shape-shifted, whether they made her, put the thought in her head that that's what she was seeing when it didn't really exist, or whether they were remote piloting a real cat. But anyway, they let her know that they were responsible for that, and yes, that was them. So that's all pretty cool stuff. Now, neighbor lady hasn't really had her aha moment yet, but it's been going on all around her. And so anyway, so fast forward on that one till this morning. Now, I got up about 4:30 this morning. I woke up and knew I wasn't going to go back to sleep, so I got up and went downstairs, And a little after 5 or so, I get a text from my friend in Utah, and he's all excited. He got up early too, and he meditates. And while he was meditating, all of a sudden he got the high hair tingle. Well, he's just starting to understand what that feels like, because it takes a while to get used to that kind of thing, but he recognized it. And so, like I told him, he immediately responded to it, and he says, go ahead and make that stronger if you like. And they did. And he was kind of astounded. So then he felt a connection. They made a connection with him. He could feel it. And now he knows what that feels like. Well, he started asking questions. And one of the questions he asked them, and this is when I'd prompted him, and he asked them if they knew me. And he used the name they had given me, and the name that they have given me is Wista, which I've been told in their language means sage. So he asked them if they knew Wista, and he got a very, very immediate positive reaction. Now, he didn't get mind speak in his head that shouted out yes, but he got a very, very strong positive reaction. So to say he was excited about that, he asked a couple more questions as well. But he had to text me right away and tell me about that, because it was pretty exciting. And I think it's pretty exciting too. And that was in his house. So, they not only responded to him up on at his location up there, but now they actually came to him at his house. So that's his side. Well, I was going to tell you about that because that's exciting enough, and I thought it was really cool. But this morning when I went over to the park to walk Flapjack, I get a text from Alabama Al. He wants me to call him. So I talked to him over there while I was walking the dog. I talked to him for about an hour. And he was telling me he's had all kinds of stuff happen. And good grief, it's too much to tell you about in this video. But there are some highlights. And I've actually got pictures that I'm going to include in this video. And I think you might find some of them intriguing. He sent me a bunch of stuff and a bunch of pictures. And there's a couple of them that would be a little hard to try to describe what I was seeing. He actually had to tell me what I was looking at over the phone. And once he pointed out to me, well, yeah, I could see it. But the couple I'm going to send you, one's going to be a general shot, and the other one's going to be a close-up. And I think you'll think it's pretty cool. But let me tell you a little bit about what he did. He said, when I told him this morning about my friend from Utah asking him if they knew who I was this morning and getting that positive reaction, he got real quiet all of a sudden. And I said, what? He said, last night he and his wife were sitting out and he knew they were around. And he said he asked them if they knew who I was. Now, I'm not sure he knows about the Wista thing, so he asked them if they knew who Chuck was. He said immediately the wood line across from where he was sitting said lit up with eye glow. A whole bunch of them. They all lit their eyes up simultaneously for a short period of time to acknowledge that, yeah, they knew who I was too. And that's pretty darn cool. So when I told him this morning that my friend up in Utah had just had that experience, and he had that same experience last night, that's something. We've learned a long time ago we don't necessarily believe in coincidences anymore. So then he started telling me about some of the other stuff that's been going on over there, and he started texting me pictures. He's a lot more into pictures, and they don't seem to mind the pictures as much. And so one of the pictures he sent me of the forest there across from where he lives at, and there's one place where there's a tree, and plain as day in the picture, there's about a 10-foot section of the tree trunk that's missing. You can see where it goes into ground, and you can see the top of it hanging in the air. But for about a 10-foot stretch of it in there, it's actually missing. You can't even see it. You can see right through it, and you can see what's behind it. But that tree trunk is gone. Well, what I think's going on there, and I blew it up as much as I can, and it's not real definitive, but what I think's going on there is I think there's a cloaked one standing in front of it. And for whatever reason, it bent the light in such a way that it just looked like that tree trunk is missing. He sent me another one, and I think that I think I could see two cloaked figures standing in there, but once again, it'd be hard enough to try to describe it to y'all to where you could see it. I already tried that once, and it had mixed results. So I might bring that picture back a little bit later, but I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm not going to try to show it to you right now. But anyway, he's had quite a bit of stuff, and he shared some stuff with me that's pretty far out there, but it adds some dots to my puzzle. And I think I'm kind of knowing what's going on with his situation, but I'm not quite sure enough of myself to really try to tell you about it right now. And it involves some stuff that's going to happen in the future, and it involves some biblical prophecy stuff, and it involves some stuff that's probably not real pleasant. And so I'm not sure enough of it to talk about it right now. And but I'm definitely got my mind turning. But I guess what I'll tell you about that is that I guess the key takeaway to that is that we all need to get our houses in order, not only personally and financially and spiritually and everything else, because there's some stuff coming, and some of it might not be real pleasant. So, brush up on your Bible, and it'll give you the answers there. Now, I've got to do the same. I haven't had time to do it yet, but I plan to. Well, let me tell you a little bit about this picture I'm going to show you, and I don't want this video to be too awful long, but I'm going to show you a picture that I marked off what you're seeing. And what you're seeing is across the driveway from where he was sitting, late afternoon sun, and off in the deep shadow, there's an object over there, and what it is, it's a ladder rack like the one I have on my truck, but it's been removed from the truck. It's painted black. It's been removed from the truck, and it's sitting on the ground. Now, he said when he walked over there, he said it's about 3 foot tall, sitting there. Well, in this picture, I show you what the ladder rack is, and you'll recognize it. And this side of the ladder rack, about in the middle of it, there's an orb. And Al said that looking at it, it showed up a lot brighter than it actually does on the picture. He said it looked like one of those new high-powered flashlights shining at you in that late afternoon. He says all in deep shadow. And he went over there and looked, and there's absolutely nothing that would give off that kind of light. But I think that was there to attract your attention. But what you're looking at next is slightly to the right and behind that ladder rack, folks, there's a figure. And the second picture actually zoomed in on that. And you can stop the video and spend as much time as you want looking at either picture. But I'll tell you what I see there is I see a figure, and Al said it appeared to be crouched down. And if it's crouched down and that ladder rack's 3 foot tall, it's a pretty big boy. But I can see the figure, I can see the head, I can see ears, I can see facial features. It appears to be pretty human looking. And so, stop it, zoom it, do whatever you want to do. Make up your own mind as to what you're seeing to see if you think it's the same thing that Al thinks it is and what I think it is. But he said it was there for a period of time and just sat there he thought it was crouched down and was looking at him, making eye contact with him and his wife both. And then he said all of a sudden, he said it didn't get up and walk away. He said it just, 1 second it was there, the next second it was gone. It just disappeared. So I'll plug those pictures in. I'll plug those pictures in right here. Okay, now I hope you spent as much time as you wanted to taking a look at that. I'm back. So it is what it is. Al told me a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it myself. But if what he told me is all makes sense, and it does, it may answer a whole lot of questions that a lot of us may have. So I guess that's enough for this one. This is the first take. I can't believe I got it on the first take. And so as I always tell you, take care of each other and love each other. And good golly, it's a lot to digest, a lot to think about. But I'll be back with you in another one here pretty quick. So I guess right now there's nothing more to do than tell you until I talk to you next time. Peace out.